Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Hillbilly Elegy, which stars Amy Adams and Glenn Close, directed by Ron Howard. And I am told that this is a drama of sorts, which I wouldn't have been able to tell because I was laughing many times throughout this movie. But before I get into that can of worms, this is based off the memoir of the same name written by J.D. Vance, as he pretty much details his life growing up in Ohio, Kentucky, and the relationship that he had with his mother and his grandmother, and just all the problems that he witnessed. And look, I'm just going to cut to the chase right now. This is bad. This movie is pretty bad. But honestly, not as bad as I had thought it was going to be, at least from what people have said about this movie prior to me seeing it. When the trailer dropped for this movie, I thought it was a joke, and apparently so did many other people, because the way the trailer plays out, it presents the movie as if it's a spoof of these Oscar-type movies. You know those trailers in Tropic Thunder, the fake trailers? This is like one of those fake trailers from Tropic Thunder, except it's actually a real movie. And then the reviews started coming in and it was getting slammed. And I thought, okay, I have to see this just out of pure curiosity. And I gotta be honest, I said it's a bad movie, and it is, but it wasn't god-awful. I wasn't shocked by how bad it was, because there's actually a few things in this movie, mainly one element, that keeps it from being just unwatchable or terrible. I mean, it might be unwatchable for some people if the stuff that happens in this movie, it really hits a nerve. But the thing that really makes this movie for me is all the scenes involving the adult version of J.D. Vance. Because the movie goes back and forth between the past and the future, with a teenage J.D. and an older J.D. who's going to college at Yale. And to be honest, whenever it focuses on him as an adult, that plotline's actually the most interesting part about the movie, because he had this really abusive life. He had a mother who was just a straight-up heroin addict and also could just snap at a moment's notice on either him or his older sister. And just seeing him trying to go on with his life as an adult and trying to just be his own person, that's actually the most interesting part about the movie. And there were points where he had to go back to Ohio to take care of his mother, where I kind of felt something. There were a few moments in this movie where I actually felt sorry for him and sympathetic, but at the same time I thought to myself, wait a minute, you got out of this town, you're going to Yale, and you're dating Freida Pinto, so hey, you've got it made, so I don't feel too sorry for you. But that being said, all those elements involving the adult version of J.D. Vance are the best parts of the movie. Now, when it comes to your two lead actresses, Amy Adams and Glenn Close, both of them are very good in spots, and those little tiny moments when they're actually good is when the movie is played down and is actually quite subtle. The rest of the movie, however, is so bombastic in terms of trying to be over-dramatic. I mean, most of this movie, the drama comes from people yelling at each other or just going crazy and losing their minds. And it's so overdone and so over the top that it almost becomes a comedy. Like I said earlier in this review, this is like watching the trailers, those fake trailers that you saw at the beginning of Tropic Thunder, but really it's more like that fake movie that Ben Stiller's character in Tropic Thunder was doing, Simple Jack, except the main character in this movie is not mentally challenged like in Tropic Thunder. But it really is one of those things where they took the dramatic elements and just pushed it to 11 to the point where it's silly at points. It's so overdramatic that if this movie was made back in the 70s, you could just slap on directed by Mel Brooks, and people would automatically assume that it was a comedy, and I think it would pass as a spoof. If Mel Brooks had made this movie after he did Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, I have no doubt that this would have passed as a legitimate spoof. And a few things that don't really help in trying to make this movie serious or dramatic are all of the facial expressions that Glenn Close makes. Now look, I understand that she's based off J.D. Vance's real grandmother, and when they show the real footage, the makeup work is actually pretty impressive. Like, Glenn Close looks spot on compared to the real life person. But that being said, Glenn Close makes so many bizarre facial expressions in scenes that are supposed to be dramatic and pull at your heartstrings, and I just break out laughing at some points. And I know I'm not supposed to, but she'll just make faces like... and it's ridiculous. Those facial expressions are absolutely hilarious. And the fact that there are so many of them, I'm waiting for that big compilation of every weird facial expression that Glenn Close makes in Hillbilly Elegy. And the message that this movie is trying to convey is just weak and really kind of cliche. I get what it's trying to say. It's trying to say that even if you leave your hometown and leave your roots, I guess, don't forget them, and always keep your family in mind, which, again, I understand that, but considering everything that the movie shows when it comes to Amy Adams and the teenage version of J.D. Vance, you're just better off leaving your family behind. And then the big statement that was present in the movie's trailer about good Terminators and bad Terminators, it's silly, it doesn't really go anywhere, and really, it just made me want to go watch Terminator 2 all over again, and, you know what? I'm just going to do that right now. So, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. And I will never get tired of Terminator 2. It's such a badass movie. And then this movie here is just ass. Don't waste your money. There's nothing about this movie that really made me angry. There's really nothing about this movie that can make you angry. There's nothing about it that makes you astonished at how bad it is. But really, it's just not worth your time. It's generic, it's cliched, it's unintentionally funny, and it's really a shame considering all the talented people you have in this movie, like Ron Howard, Amy Adams, and Glenn Close. All of these talents are well above this kind of movie. It's probably going to make my bottom 10 list, but maybe more at the bottom. It's really bad. Now, I say I'm not angry right now, but if this ends up going down the route of Bohemian Rhapsody and Joker, where it gets a Best Picture Oscar nomination or tons of other nominations at the Oscars, then that'll push me to the tipping point of being mad. But for right now, I don't hate it, but it's certainly not a good movie. And there you go, that's my review for Hillbilly Elegy. Now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, leave a comment, support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until then, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.